Salve Latin 1 students. Thank you guys for checking in on your work today. Before we go over our assignment from yesterday, which was exercise C, I want to help you with that. I also want to do a fact of the day with you to keep our culture going. We did history the other day, so make sure on the next quiz you know that the year 69, which was the year the four emperors, could pop up on the quiz and facts from that. Today I thought we'd do some mythology since we did history the other day, and we'll talk about a famous character from mythology called Echidna. Here you see Echidna, and Echidna's nickname is the mother of all monsters, and that's pretty self-explanatory why she's named that. She is the mother of a bunch of different monsters from mythology, many of which I bet you've already heard of, but I'll give you a list of them. So Echidna herself was a monster, and usually she's depicted as being half woman and half snake, kind of a large snake. So obviously this is just a drawing, but you can see a depiction here of this kind of fearsome snake woman. Here you see Echidna, like a statue, kind of a bizarre statue of Echidna. Here we see an ancient vase painting of Echidna as well on the left there, kind of an interesting one. So again, Echidna was supposed to be the mother of a bunch of monsters from mythology, and her mate, who the father of a lot of these monsters, was called Typhon. But for some reason, Echidna is a little more famous as being their mother than he is their father. So what are some of the monsters that she was supposedly the mother of in mythology? One of them is Orthrus, which is a two-headed dog. Here you can see the death of Orthrus getting struck in the heart by an arrow. The next one you probably heard of, the three-headed dog. Several dogs in mythology. Cerberus, of course, was a three-headed dog that guarded the entrance to the underworld. She gave birth to Cerberus in mythology. She was also the mother of the Hydra, a very famous monster here, the Hydra. We talked about the Hydra before, where Hercules had to battle the Hydra as one of his 12 labors, and the Hydra has all these snake heads that basically grow back to if you cut off one of them. So it was really hard for Hercules to battle, but the Hydra was one of her offspring. You may or may not have heard of Ladon. This was this creature, again, with multiple heads. Lots of creatures in mythology have multiple heads for some reason. It's kind of maybe it's because it's just so crazy and outlandish, and we don't often see it in real life, multiple heads. But Ladon was this kind of large creature, almost similar to dragon, as you can see here. The Chimera is a really famous one. The Chimera was this monster that looked like a lion but had a serpent for a tail, and its back had a goat protruding from it. You can see right there. Chimera was eventually slain by a hero called Bellerophon, but we might do that fact another time. She was also the mother of Scylla, and Scylla was actually, I think we did a separate fact of the day on Scylla, so I won't go into great details, but if you remember, Scylla hung out in the Strait of Messina, right between Italy and Sicily, and there were 6 heads to Scylla, and she would kind of pluck sailors off ships and eat them as they sailed by. So she was the mother of Scylla. She was the mother of the Sphinx. Do you remember what story we saw the Sphinx in? Very famous part of mythology. That was in the Oedipus story. She was the one who would ask people a riddle and then kill you if you didn't get the riddle correct. Oedipus did get her riddle correct, and she ended up devouring herself, if you remember, because she was so upset. So Echidna was the mother of the Sphinx, and also the mother of the Nemean lion, which was another one of Hercules' labors, where he had to slay this kind of large, extra vicious, extra violent lion, and he eventually did. And then later on, he was known to wear its like pelt. But she gave birth also to this Nemean lion. I haven't even listed all of her offspring here, but I wanted to give you some of the more famous ones. But that is why she's called the mother of all monsters, because a lot of the famous ones she gave birth to. One year for their creative project, I had a student who did a really cool project. It was a Echidna doll. So she sewed this doll, and then the belly opened up of Echidna, and the little babies would come out, all the different monsters. So Cerberus would pop out, the Hydra would pop out. It was a pretty cool creative idea for a project. There is an animal called Echidna nowadays. It takes its name from Echidna. Do you know which animal is known as Echidna? I doubt you have one for a pet. Well, there's an animal called the Echidna. It looks like this. It's also known as a spiny anteater, but kind of cool that this animal takes its name from Echidna. I don't know if it looks quite as vicious as the real Echidna, but all right. So that's a little mythology I want to make sure I do with you guys whenever possible. That one could be on Friday's quiz. Do remember the quiz is coming up on Friday on chapter 16, which is third declension I-stem. So for that quiz, you want to make sure you know how to tell whether a third declension word is I stem or is not I stem. The main way you do that is by, if it's a neuter word, you know there's only two neuter I stem, mare, animal. You want to know how to decline those and how to work with those. And then if it's a masculine and feminine third declension word, there's those three sets of rules you need to do to practice and see whether the word is I stem or not. I might bring those rules up a little bit as we go over this assignment. So your assignment yesterday was to do exercise C on page 89, and make sure you've done that before you look over my review here, and then review your answers to mine and see what you did right and what you might have had trouble on. If there's still some things after I go over the assignment that you're not sure about, or you just have little questions about, please pop in my office hours and show me so I can help you with any difficulty or cloudiness you have on this assignment. So let's go over number one, and I'll give you the answer for each of these. You can compare it to your own. There is a long bridge on a beautiful river in Germany. So this one I got Est Pons Longus, long bridge, in Pulchro Flubene in Germania. Fairly straightforward, but pons is a new word. It's pons pontus. Now, every time you see a third declension word, just for practice for the quiz, think, is this word I stem or not? Pons pontus is I stem. Why? Because any third declension word ending in ns or rs is I stem. That's actually rule 2, and so this word is I stem, okay? So there is a long bridge, and then on a beautiful river would be able to place where? So in Pulchro Flumene. Flumene is neuter. It's not I stem. It's a normal third declension neuter word. And then in Germania, it's also able to place where. By the way, why did I use longus here as opposed to some other form? Well, it's got to agree with this, long bridge. So masculine nominative singular, masculine nominative singular ending. Okay, so see what you got there. What about number 2? Horses are good and friendly animals. I came up with, excuse me, too fast. Equi sunt animalia bona et amica. So the horses are your subject, nominative. And then animals is also nominative because it's a predicate nominative. It's following a linking verb, right? So equi sunt animalia. And then both of these adjectives describe animals. So good, bona, friendly, amica. Yes, exactly. By the way, this word is one of only 2 neuter I stem words. That's why you see an I in its nominative plural. Normal third declension neuter words would not have that. Only I stems do. So make sure you know animal. Make sure you know mare for the quiz and how to decline and translate both of those. Okay. These adjectives are neuter to agree with the neuter noun. Okay. If one of these you're still not sure about, you can rewind it and listen again or pause it if I'm going too fast. And then, of course, see me in my office hours if something still isn't sitting right with you. What about number 3? The ships were sailing through the sea toward the land. I got naves per mare ad terram navigabant. So the new word for ships is naves. It is I stem, navis. It fits rule 1. Rule 1 is the nominative being is or es, the ending, and the nominative and genitive have the same number of syllables. So this is rule 1. It is I stem, so its genitive plural would be navium, if you see that on the quiz, right? So through the sea, per mare. This is accusative, by the way. Why is mare the accusative form? Because that word's neuter. So it's mare, maris, marie, mare, and then mari. So we use the accusative form here. Why? Because per is a preposition that takes the accusative. Ad also takes the accusative, so it's ad terram. And then the verb, were sailing, is your imperfect. Verb navigabant is the imperfect. It's plural because ships is the subject. Okay, so a lot there on number 3. Number 4, there was a beautiful city in the territory of the Greeks. Erat urbs pulchra in Graecorum finibus. Okay, beautiful city is the subject, so I made it nominative, urbs pulchra. Why pulchra? Well, because urbs is feminine, so it's got to be feminine nominative to agree with it. And then finally, in the territory. This one's a little bit tricky. This is a new word, finis, masculine. You might look and say it means like boundary, which it does when it's singular, but when it's plural is when it means territory. So notice how I made this ablative plural here because it's ablative of place where. So this word must be plural. And then what did I do with Greeks? I made it genitive because of the Greeks is possessive. So erat urbs pulchra in Graecorum finibus. By the way, urbs is a third declension I stem word. Why? What rules it follow? Well, hopefully you're internalizing the rules. It's rule 3. Its nominative is monosyllabic, urbs, 1 syllable, but then its base is RB, which is ending in 2 consonants. So this is an I stem word. Its genitive would be urbium with an I in it. Okay, genitive plural. All right, so a lot there on number 4. 5, on the bridge was a soldier on a white horse. For this one, I put in ponte, on a bridge. There was a soldier, eret miles. This is the nominative singular, it's the subject. And then finally, on a white horse would be ablative of place where. I put in albo equo. Both of these words being ablative to agree. Okay, so that one pretty straightforward. We see the word for bridge again. This might look plural to you, but remember the plural of that word would be milites. Milites. Is miles I-stem? It's clearly third declension. Is it I-stem? It's not. It kind of looks like it at first because it is an es, but its genitive is militis, which has a different number of syllables than the nominative. So this does not fit into rule 1 or any of the other rules for I-stem words. Number 6 is the mountains in Gaul are high and beautiful. So for this one, we have montes in Gallia sunt alti pulchrique. So montes is a new word. It is I-stem, rule 2. And then in Gaul is ablative of place where. Are sunt. Now, what case should high and beautiful be? Well, they should both be nominative because they're modifying mountains, which is the subject. What gender is mons montes? That's part of your vocab this chapter. Masculine. So notice how alti, pulchrique. I made these both masculine, nominative, plural. I use que. You could have also said alti et pulchri. That would have been correct also. There's either way you could do it. Okay. That was a good one. Number 7. Did you guys get this one? Marcus often used to call our fellow citizens into the city. I got Marcus nostros cives. I made nostros cives accusative because it's the direct object, our citizens. Into the city. Remember, whenever you want in to mean into, it's got to go with the accusative. So in urbim is the accusative. And then finally, often used to call. This here denotes the imperfect tense, used to call. So saipe, often, wokabat. That's the imperfect tense I used. And it's singular because Marcus is the singular subject. Okay, so a lot of good review on there. These sentences are covering not just stuff from this chapter, but stuff from all of our previous chapters. So it's good to kind of review and stay sharp on those things. What about number 8? The soldiers will carry weapons for the gates of the city. I put milites, tela portabunt ex urbis portis. And so the soldiers, milites, nominative plural, will carry, future, portabunt, there's your future tense sign. And then weapons are the direct object, tela. It's nominative plural. Why is that the nominative plural? Because tellum is a neuter word. So you need a neuter second declension. Aurum is, is. You could have used the word arma there, which also means weapons. I just chose tela, there were synonyms. And then finally, from the gates of the city, I did ex goes with the ablative, so this is gates, ex portis, and then urbis is right in the middle, it's genitive, because it's the gates of the city. It's got to be possessive, so I just put it right in the middle. Okay. Another word for from you could have used would be ob. If any of you put ob urbis portis, I can accept that also. They both mean from. They both take the ablative. All right, very good. Number 9, they attacked the enemy city with fire. This one I got the perfect tense. They attacked is opugnaverunt. That's perfect. And then enemy city. City here is the word that's the direct object. Enemies is possessive. Okay. What's the plural of hostis? Well, it's hostium. This is genitive plural. Why did I make it genitive plural? I mentioned this in the notes, but the enemy in Latin is a plural idea because it's made up of the enemy represents like multiple people, a lot of people. So this is genitive plural. Why is there an I in the genitive plural? Because this word is an I-stem word. Hostis, hostis. It fits rule 1. It's actually the example word for rule 1. And then finally, the city is accusative because it's the direct object. And then they attacked with fire. This would be an ablative of means because you attack with fire is the tool you're using to attack. What do you do with ablative of means? It goes with the ablative, but it has no preposition. So igne is the ablative of ignis. Exactly. So a lot there of number 9, even though it's a short sentence. And number 10 is a question. Were you looking at the fires on the mountain? This one, were you looking? Spectabas, and then I put ne to make it a question. The verb is imperfect. The fires is going to be accusative. So accusative of this word would be ignes. That's a masculine I-stem word. How do we know it's I-stem? Ignis, ignis. It's rule 1. It ends in is, and it's nominative and genitive has the same number of syllables. So that's the direct object, ignes, accusative plural. And then finally, on the mountain would be ablative of place where. So in monte, monte is the ablative singular. Okay, this one shows you how much more concise Latin is than English, because here the English is a lot longer of a sentence than the Latin, even though they say the exact same thing, they express the exact same idea. Yeah. All right. So these English and Latin are always tricky. I'm sure you had some things you had to correct in there. That's understandable. It happens to all of us. So it's okay if you had some mistakes. That's part of learning the language. Make sure you correct them and kind of learn from your mistakes. If any sentence still just doesn't make sense, even after I explained it here, and maybe I didn't hit something properly, you can always pop into my office hours to see me and to go over these together. So I hope you guys are doing well. Remember, our quiz is going to be on Friday. We'll do some practice the rest of this week, but you want to be really good on your vocab and really good on your third declension I stem. The rules are going to be on there. How do I know, is this word I stem or not? Lots of I stem review and practice are on the quiz, okay? That'll be on Friday. Hope you guys are doing very well. Having an excellent week, and I'll be checking in with you tomorrow with some more practice. Walete.